Becoming an architect is not an easy task. In my last video, we talked about the steps you need to take in order to become a licensed architect. And I thought this week, I'll share to you guys 10 tips in order to successfully study for the ARE exam. Hello everyone, my name is John Imperial and today I'm going to share to you my 10 tips so you can start studying for your architecture exam. Tip number 1, contact your licensing advisor. When I started studying for the ARE exam, the first thing I had to do was go through endcard's website. And actually I went through other blogs as well, but what I found was some of the information weren't really clear. Plus, they didn't really fit my situation. So what I did was I contacted my licensing advisor and he was able to help out with the specifics of my situation. Also, your licensing advisor should be able to introduce you to some people who are in the same boat as you. And not only that, he should be able to tell you about whether your local AIA chapter has some resources and books that you might be able to borrow. Number 2, start your endcard record and request for early eligibility. Establishing your endcard record is one of the first important things that you can do so you can start logging those hours. Don't do what I did. I worked in Singapore for 2 years and I didn't know about the 6-month rule, so I ended up losing half of my hours. After establishing your endcard record and logging those hours, you would need to request for early eligibility, and each state has their own requirements, so make sure you reach out to endcard or contact your licensing board. Number 3, have a game plan. This seems obvious, but actually a lot of people don't do this. Research on the different exams and their coverage and see which one lines up best with your experience. Not only that, research on the topics that you would need to study for that exam and have a game plan of what you need to study for the day, the week, the month. I'll share my strategy for this in step 6. Number 4, baby steps. After I decided on what division I wanted to take first, I made baby steps. I started ordering books online. I started downloading study guides. I bought materials. I bought index cards, highlighters, and everything that I thought that I would need for the exams. And not only that, I borrowed some materials from my local AIA chapter. The key is to try and do as many little things as you can do now, so you won't have to think about it later. Number 5, find someone to keep you accountable. The fact that the ARE is a self-study exam makes it difficult to start. And with no deadlines and you can schedule your exams anytime you want to, you would need as much as you can to keep you accountable when you're taking these exams. Some states have study groups and seminars for ARE candidates. Unfortunately, here in Anchorage, we don't really have much. So I had to research online and look for a study group. And luckily, I found Michael Risica. And for 10 weeks, we would do this video call and basically share some questions that we have, or even share things that we've learned. And not only was it a good way to make sure that we put in the hours, but it really kept us accountable, and in turn I actually made some friends. Number 6, use a study log. This habit was actually developed from attending Mike's ARE bootcamp, and I actually created my own study log. So if you want a copy of that, I'll put the links in the description below so you can download it. I'm a very graphic guy, and it's a good way for me to set goals and remind myself of what I need to do. So what I did was I listed down which chapters I needed to finish for a certain day and tick them off as soon as I accomplish it. I made sure to set a realistic goal for the first 2 weeks, and then I started to challenge myself with more chapters the following weeks. By doing so, the seemingly big and impossible task of studying for the ARE exam doesn't seem big and impossible anymore because you're digesting it in smaller pieces. Number 7, don't be afraid to commit. Personally, I found that scheduling my exams 4 to 6 weeks in advance works best for me. It gives me enough time to study, but not too much time that I would slack. I know that this might sound too much for you, especially if you're just taking your first exam, but I wouldn't recommend scheduling your exams past 10 weeks in advance. Also, before you schedule your exam, make sure you factor in family, work schedule, and social events, and give yourself just a little bit of contingency. Number 8, charge. Once you have the momentum, Keep going. Don't stop. There would be days that I would schedule as a rest day, and I actually wouldn't feel rested because I would want to study. Yes, you heard that right. It's gonna happen. You're gonna want to study. Get into the details. Start answering practice questions. I've found that this is actually a good way to gauge my strengths and weaknesses. I took as much practice questions and exams as I could, and what I would do is I would take note of the questions that I answered wrong, and I would research more about that topic. I found that this is the most effective way for me to study. Number 9, one book is not enough. If you want to pass the exams, you're going to have to use multiple books and multiple resources because you're going to find one topic in one book that you won't find in another. So it's better to read as much as you can, and there are a lot of good resources out there, and you can even find videos on YouTube. People have made specific playlists for each exam, and the best part of this is it's free. Number 10, enjoy and relax. A couple of days before the exam, I would start to get nervous and my instincts would tell me to study more. What I found is that when I do study or answer practice questions, I would mess up, even though I know in my heart that I know the answer. And what I realized was I needed to trust myself. I needed to trust that I've put in the hours and that resting would benefit me more than studying. We call this the point of diminishing returns. So what I would do is I would go hang out with friends, maybe see a movie, eat good food, just reward myself for studying. And if ever I'm gonna study something, I would go with just going over my notes and don't read anything too intense. And just trust that at this point you've put in the hours and one day it won't make or break you. So there you have it. Those are my 10 tips for you to start studying successfully for the ARE exam. If you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys next time.